Welcome to episode 47 of the Walleye Chronicles. On this episode, Joel Clements from Ohio. That's right, we get to talk Lake Erie walleyes. Also, fish sandwiches. So enjoy, Joel Clements. Welcome to Walleye Chronicles, where I get you guys off your boats and into the studio. We start talking fishing. Today, I got my first Erie guy with me. I haven't had an Erie guy on yet, an Ohio guy. Joel Clement is with me today. How you doing, Joel?
Good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome. So you are my first Ohio man, and pretty excited because I got all kinds of things to talk to you about. I've been watching your content for a while over on TikTok and on YouTube. I love your stuff. I want to get into your sandwich videos because as a big fella, I look for all those too as well. So I want to get into that stuff. But right off the bat, let's get a little background into who you are, where you grew up, and all your kind of fun stuff as a kid.
Okay, so I'm from Western Ohio. I'm actually 2 hours south of Erie. I got a 2-hour drive to Erie. But like Indian Lake is like a local lake to me. It has Saugeye and stuff. But no, just typical stuff like Dad always fished. Our lakes are canal lakes, and they're real shallow. They're big catfish lakes. So we did a lot of catfishing when I was a kid. Running around in a little 14-foot boat with a 9.9,
right,
and that kind of stuff. And then but then we always like slowly got more and more into Erie, and it started with like just going on head boats. Like on Erie, a lot of people know what head boats are, but they'll take like 20, 30 guys out at once, and usually you're casting, and it costs used to cost like $40 a seat at that time. So you pay $40, get on the boat, and you can go out and you can go jig fishing or you cast harnesses. And that's what we really started doing first. And that's what we slowly got into fishing Erie more.
So what kind of boats are these head boats? I've never heard of that in my life, actually.
They're like old. They're all old, like big diesel boats. They remind me of like, I don't know if you ever seen like Chesapeake Bay, like crab fishing.
Okay.
Like they're like them kind of boats, like they gut them and it's just that big deck and they put bench seats on them. And it's a great way for people to like get out on Erie, like cheap, because you could call them up, get a seat. You bring your own tackle, and you like right now during the jig bite. So you'll have your rod and reel, and they'll load the boat up with 20 or 30 guys. And it might be like, I could be wrong, but it might be like $70 a seat. COVID kind of changed that and increased them prices. But yeah, like you can go up and they catch fish. Like the two big ones in Port Clinton are Fisherman's Wharf and Drawbridge Marina. But yeah, anybody can go stay at Port Clinton, get on one of them boats, pay $70, go out for 6 hours and cast for walleyes. And they catch a ton of fish.
Right. That's pretty cool. That's a good way for people to get out and do that stuff that don't normally have a boats and stuff. It's fishing like that. You can really get out and have that good experience.
Yeah, like that's exactly what we did. We do like 2 trips a year. Go up and we would fish. You can rent a whole head boat, and there'd be like 12 of us that would go that were all friends. And I was just a kid though, and it was all my dad's friends, and we would fish so hard. Like, the second we got on that boat, the first thing was we talked to the captain and we'd tell him like, hey, my dad would. He'd tell him like, hey, we're here to catch fish. We'll go like 2 hours. These boats went slow, but like we go on a 2-hour ride.
Yep.
Just to catch fish. Like we want to catch fish. Like we'll tip you good and everything else. But yeah, we would fish so hard we wouldn't eat, sit down. We just fish as hard as we could. I tell the story like when I was a kid, I had to like use the one time we went. I had to use the bathroom before we got on the head boat. But like I was so excited, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go once we go out there. Like get out there, and we get out there. I never used the bathroom once. 6 hours. We just fished that hard. We got done. I'm like, man, I didn't even use the bathroom. Got back and used the bathroom. But yeah, we just went hard the whole time.
That's awesome.
I always said too, like I have the camper up there, and it's like if I ever got rid of my boat and just went out on that headboat every weekend, I mean, I'd be filling my freezer up. They catch a lot of fish. I mean,
I
it's no
suppose.
joke.
Yeah, I mean, they're out all the time. They know where the fish are at. They put
Oh
you right
yeah,
on them for you.
yeah, and they work together. They each got like six, like Fisherman's Wharf got like 4 or 5 boats, and then they got charter boats too.
That's cool. I never really realized that would existed.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
that's crazy. So as a kid, so you did that kind of fishing. You said you did some catfishing too, as well, kind of that kind of stuff. Was
yeah,
that boat, shore stuff, ice
yeah,
fishing?
yeah. We did a lot of shore fishing, um, and then yeah, I mean, we always ice fish too. It's crazy. Like we don't get the ice like you guys do, but when I was a kid, I feel like we always got ice. And then here recently, I went like 3 years where I didn't go ice fishing.
Wow.
But like we used to take an ice fishing trip every year, go somewhere, um, all over Burt Lake, Houghton Lake, just all over, just all kinds of ice fishing trips. St.
Are you?
Clair.
Are you like the cold? Are you a cold guy? You like the cold? Don't like the cold?
I do. It's funny because I think I get more tired of just wearing bibs. It's not the cold that wears me, or that bothers me, but it's just like wearing bibs from. Seems like from October to
Right?
now, or I'll wear bibs on Erie clear to like May.
Yeah. You
I'm just
you
like I'm
guys get
tired of wearing these things.
right. Yeah, you guys get that wind and stuff coming off them cold lakes. That's gotta be pretty cold just in general
Oh
during most
yeah,
of the year.
even like in July and August. I mean, it could be 90 degrees during the day, but if you get up early and get out on that lake, like some non-insulated bibs are I say they're nice, but I get tired of wearing them. It's like, but
Right? Yeah, it's kind of weird all that stuff has changed and how that stuff has gotten better clothes wise. But then at the same token, you're like, I mean, I like them because I just don't wear anything else underneath them. I just wear some shorts, to get to a certain
yeah,
time, you
yep,
can pop off.
exactly.
Up here we don't get if it's cold, it's cold. Like now until the next couple of weeks, we'll be in bibs, and after that, it gets pretty warm up here. So and
Yeah,
having the big lakes, that we have the big lakes, but even like Green Bay, you're out on the bay, but you're surrounded by everywhere has. It's not like you're on Lake Michigan, you're on a bay, so you still
yeah,
get the warm air blowing off, so it ain't too terrible.
mm. Yeah. Like when to get back on that like headboat stuff, we would do that more and more, and every year, and I got older and older, and the thing that it wasn't the catching the fish. I just like loved being out on that lake. There was something about it. Every time we were done, we'd only go 2 times a year, sometimes 1 time a year, and I'd be so bummed about not being able to go back on that lake, and I just had to figure out a way to get up there more, and end up buying my first boat and stuff. A little boat. It was a 16.5 foot low, but it got us up there to go do our own thing, and then we just started figuring it all out. Or no, we
How
still don't have it figured out, but
how was that in your first boat? What was it like in your first boat?
I had it was a 16.5 FM low. FM stood for fishing machine. It had a 60 horse. It had a 60 horse engine on it and stuff. And I mean, when we started out, I had a couple trolling rods that I bought. I didn't even have planer boards because some of our local lakes here, they have Saugeye in them.
Yep.
And there's super shallow lakes. And a lot of times you're just pulling around crankbaits and you just got the rod in your hand.
Yep.
So we would go out and we just troll long line, troll for walleyes. That was the first thing we did. And then that boat, I had a motor guide, cheap, cable steer trolling motor. So we would I'd throw 2 drift socks out,
Huh?
and like dad would like drive the boat. And then if we caught a fish, then we'd have to, it's like a circus trying to get that fish in the boat.
That's awesome. Yeah, so your first boat's always something because it's like your boat and the things you do to it. Is there anything crazy things you had thought about, in other people's boats that you finally got to do yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I bought that. It was a new boat. I bought it in 2016. But yeah, I tell you what, there were some days out there we shouldn't have been in that boat, but like a lot of days.
Right?
There was one time I remember and I took some buddies out, and this is the first time like I realized the strength of Erie. But I got this brand new boat with a 60 horse on it, and we go out this time of year to go jig fishing, and you don't have to go very far out. And we head out there, we fish, we catch like 2 fish. Well, we're fishing on our knees. You can't even stand in that little boat. It's just rocking so bad. We're trying to jig fish and everything. And on the way back in, we're like, okay, we've had enough. Let's go back in. And it's like rolling. And I'm heading back in with that boat, and the waves would come up behind me, and it would stop that boat completely. And I'd be full throttle, and I'd have to wait for that wave to come past, and then I could go again.
Wow.
And that was a day like, yeah, we shouldn't be out here. I was like, it took us forever to get back in.
Right? I mean, I've never been on Erie, but so then the waves and what you got out there is pretty crazy.
It is
Yeah.
like, I was talking to a guy. I was talking to a guy about jig fishing, and we use like 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce jig head. And someone's like, I can't imagine using a 3/4 ounce jig head in 12 foot of water. Well,
Right.
like there's so much current. There's actually current flowing through that lake. And then with the waves and everything, it just, you could definitely, there's days you can get by with a 1/2 ounce or, but
That's
a lot
funny
of
you
times
say.
them days are rare.
That's funny you say that because I always when I started making my own jigs recently, and I always see at the end of the do it mold there's always like a 1/2 or 3/4 1 ounce jig. And I'm like, who are the guys that are using this stuff? Holy mackerels!
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
around here we're all 1/4 and 3/8 ounce. That's what we're using.
Yeah. Like around here, those Saugeye lakes, we're using, 1/8 ounce. I was out yesterday and letting the wind, take that jig, bow
Yep.
in the line, float around. But that jig bite, man, it's just like you're jerking that 3/4 ounce jig up, and it's just coming right back down. But you can feel it and everything, and it works great. That's just the way they've been doing it forever.
Right. I mean, I love jig fishing. It's one of my favorite things to do. But you don't think I've ever jigged anything over 3/8 ounce? That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
Detroit
Because
River.
then too, like none of your rods are really like built for that either.
Probably. I imagine not. No, I don't even know what I'd have to use like a crankbait rod or something like that to be able to hold that up. So is
Yeah,
the
I use
the
like what it's a St. Croix 6/8. It's just a medium extra fast action, like a snap jig rod, But I'm waiting for. I've had that rod forever, but like I'm waiting for the tip to just one day just blow off of it while I'm casting that jig out.
right? I suppose that thing you get that thing coming back at you too, though. If you have a whiplash coming back.
Yeah, yeah, but it's fun.
So so you go and got your first boat, started fishing. Um, once you got your boat, did you start going out a ton? Was it like a whole new world for you? And you're like, I got to go every day.
Well, um, I, we didn't have the camper at the time, and so like, and it's funny. I talk about how back then, like we just fished. Like I said, we fished so hard, and even with that boat, me and Dad got like really into it, and we'd get up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and drive up there. We wanted first light. Like,
Yep.
oh yeah, we want to be out there. We were always worried to go out there when it was dark, so we'd be sitting at the parking lot at Catawba State Park, waiting for enough light, to put the boat in the water and go. And yeah, yeah, we'd be sitting there waiting, and then we check the weather. There were days we go up there and the waves would be too big, and we'd be like, all right, we'll just go back home. But no, we had that boat, and then Dad ended up buying it was a 1998 Lund Fisherman. It was an
Oh,
1800 Lund Fisherman. Had a 135 Optimax, and that was kind of like our next step up
right.
into like an actual boat that would get us out there more.
That's a deeper. They have high sides in that one, didn't it?
Oh yeah, big gunnels.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. And then that had a kicker, and then that actually had like an autopilot steer that I've never seen because we still didn't have a trolling motor with autopilot.
Yeah.
But this was a one, and it was a one factory autopilot system. And maybe you've seen them. Some guys may have seen them, but it's actually on the steering wheel, like in a big boat. Like I've seen big 30-foot boats have these,
Okay.
but they had an autopilot around the steering wheel, and it was all chain. It was all under a cover, but it was chain driven, and you'd flip that on, and then it would steer your boat for you
Wow.
and put you in. Now, like it couldn't keep up with like big waves and stuff, but like when you got a fish on, you could kick that on and keep you straight for a little bit.
I gotcha. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So you guys had to learn trolling and all that stuff together. How was that?
yeah. I tell you, I've watched like a ton of. I learned so much stuff from YouTube. Like I'm like one of them YouTube experts everybody jokes about, but no, I didn't have me and Dad, we didn't have a mentor. No one like told us. Dad, like I said, we only went up there and casted. So learned a ton of just reading on forums, YouTube, buying boards, trying stuff out, buying more rods. And yeah, and that's how we just eventually got more into it, learning. And I think it's Ross Robertson. He has like big water fishing. He has some good videos and stuff.
Yep.
Learned a lot from him. And yeah.
So what was your first? What was your first time where? Was there a time where you had just a big gnarly hang up where you had like multiple boards back and trying to do the whole like let what one go back, bring one underneath it, that kind of game? How was that for you when you first figured that stuff out? Because that's always fun.
One thing, there's it's like a controversial subject on Erie. So there's guys that release their boards.
Yep.
So you could take your planer board and they'll wrap their line on the clip and they'll release it and that board will drop back. And we never understood that concept at first. We don't do that today, but yeah, there were times where like I remember we wouldn't release the board and we thought, well, we'll just drop that back. So we'll just turn the clicker on and let it release and try to cross over them lines. And there's a way to stagger your baits to do that.
Yep.
You want your like deepest baits on we run the deepest baits on the inside. Or no, our shallowest baits on the inside, sorry. Shallowest baits on the inside, deepest on the out. So when that drops back, it's supposed to go over them lines. Well, we never knew that stuff either. So there was a time where like every time we had, our board would go back, we always tangled another bait. Swivels are a big thing. Some people run swivels, some don't. But if you have a crankbait that gets bad enough and it sits there for an hour twirling, that's a disaster.
Right. That's funny because we don't troll too much around here anymore. The live scope is really kind of taken over for us over here.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when I first started fishing, especially started tournament fishing, we were doing a lot of trolling and having to learn all that stuff. Because like I never grew up on a big lake. I grew up on a river, so we were jigging and casting. And then when I had to start learning all that stuff, it was getting stuff tangled up. I was always tangled on something, trying to bring boards over the top. I did the snap trick for a while too, but then I was burning through those clips and at $20 a pop, those things. Like, well, I'm going to stop doing this. And yeah, it's, I still like watching people that are new and they're out there trolling. You're like, oh, that guy's having a hell of a day. Or you see their two guys stand in the back of the boat and they're holding and they got everything just to kind of do the old line over and flip and stuff. And you're like, oh man, those days suck.
Yeah. Now, we keep our boards attached. And everybody's different, and I'm not saying this is the way to do it, but we keep ours attached. I do all the work. Dad gets the kickback, reel fishing, but I'll reel like if it's the outside board, I'll reel the first rod in, take the board off, and I'll reel that bait all the way in, and then I'll take the second rod and I'll reel that into the board, and I have an opposite side board ready. Like we'll be running six. We'll have 6 rods out, but I'll have 8 boards on the deck. So then I'll reel that one in, and I will, and we got extra rod holders, and I'll swap that rod to the other side. So then that pole is still fishing. And I tell you what, that initiates a lot of bites too. I think that thing coming in, dropping back, but we'll just drop that out 20 foot, and then we can reel that fish in. And then when we go to let them back out, that rod, we can keep it over on that other side, or we can just flip it back over and get our 3-on-3 on each side.
Yeah, there's some guys here that'll do on the opposite gunnel. They'll have a rod facing the opposite way and put it there so the board stays like behind the motor. Do you guys do a lot of there's a lot of mast out there? People do the arms up in the air and that kind of stuff, or not too much?
Yeah, like the big boats all do like big boards. Like you usually you get on like a charter and you get on a big sport craft or something, they're going to be running big boards, and they'll have I've only done that a couple times, but on a small boat, that's a lot of gear to be having around and everything. We always talk about getting into it, but then we always wonder why. I don't know,
Right.
something else to spend money on.
So how is it with you with the waves out there? I mean, when you're running boards, I mean, we don't have the waves you have. I mean, if I get on Green Bay, if I get a day where there's 2 foot, 2.5, 3 foot waves, that's a big day. But for what appears watching you guys, is that just a normal day for you, 3 foot waves out there?
It's like we have the wave predictions and everything. A lot of times they say, see, this is something we had to learn too. But NOAA has a website and they give you all the, wave predictions. And they'll say they'll give you the wind and then they'll say 1 to 3 footers. Okay. And well, we were like, call it dumb, but no one told us. We'd be like, well, there could be 1 footers out there. It could just be 1 footers. So, we go and everything and we go out there and it's like, no, it was maybe a 1 footer here, but it was 1 and 3 footers, 1, 2, and 3 footers. That took us a while, but yeah, that's kind of our limit, the 1 to 3 footers. One thing is that, if it's a south wind on Erie where we're at, and like this time of year, you don't have to go very far out or, you can get, you could check your islands, can I make it out to an island? I think like last year you've had him on this show, the David Landsteiner. Yeah.
Yep.
We fished together last year and the first day was like almost like a blow day and it was rough. But like we talked about going on the one side of Kelly's Island and I told him like, all you gotta do is just make it there and then it'll be calm, it'll be, and it was, it's like flat calm over there. It breaks that wind up so much. But man, I mean, he looked out. We went there with the one day, and there were a bunch of guys actually doing that. And he's like, "Dang, we could do that," And we ended up doing it. And I mean, we took some waves over the front and stuff, but we got over there. That was a good time fishing with him.
Yeah, Dave's funny, dude. I know you're a long ways away, but you gotta when his ice fishing tournament comes up, you gotta make the trek over there because
that'd be a haul. I've talked to him about that.
He has probably the greatest personal pond lake I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's just a magical place. And I just go for the day and just drive. It's 4 hours for me, but I'll get up at 4, just drive out there and spend the day out there because it's so gorgeous out there. And everything he's doing is like a fisherman's dream. And he's not building it for people to be able to walk around it, right, and fish. He's building it for fish. So he's literally dropping trees in all over the freaking place. It's hard to fish places, but that's what you have to do, right? So I just love what he's doing out there.
Yeah, like I've watched his videos and stuff, and he was making the pond videos, and he had like crappies.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, that's awesome. Well, then all of a sudden, like he had, I don't know how big it was, but like a really big walleye, and I was like, what the heck? Because that's like around here, I don't know. I think like walleye really can't survive. Like when it gets too hot here for like too long. So like to have a walleye in your pond,
right?
It's like it's a surprise to us.
Right. It's one of those things where it's the perfect storm because he's actually in a really big valley. So the sun doesn't hit the lake the whole day. It only hits half it. It's all treed all the way up too as well. And he has a creek that goes through it. So it's like 15 feet deep. He's got water running through it. The sun doesn't hit it all day long. And I'm like, I actually caught my personal best crappie out there a couple years, just under 15 inches. And I'm like, Jesus, dude, this is a blast. But
you gotta love when you could go to like some trophy crappie lake, and then you go to some dude's pond and you're catching the biggest one.
Right? Yeah, it's pretty funny because I mean, out there, the lake is its own kind of. It's not like a fishing normal stuff. Like the one year, it was super clear ice and no snow, and if you moved, you would literally watch the fish just move off the screen and just take off.
Really?
Like they don't want any noise. So the longer you sat, the more fish you actually caught. Just sit still and you're like, don't you walk over by me, man. You're going to chase all my fish away, right? And they would just go with the motion. And then this year there was snow and everybody seemed to be catching stuff. So, yeah, it's a blast. It's a blast. For me, it's not a terrible drive. It's just basically straight and stay awake kind of thing. But, yeah, he's definitely a character.
Yeah. No, he's a good dude. I had fun with him last year. I'm going to try to get over. I think they got a tournament on the east side of
Mhm.
Erie, and I forget where he told me that was out of. It's an NWT tournament,
Yeah.
and it's still like 6 hours or something from me. But I told him I've never been over there that far, and so if I have a day off work, yeah, I'll go over there and free
Right.
fish with you or something. But
Hey, listeners, let's talk outdoor streaming. What is the best outdoor streaming platform out there? Well, it's simple. It's Fixed TV. Not only do they have this great program, but they have all kinds of hunting and fishing shows along with some weaponry shows. So when you get bored and need something to do, get your fix with Fixed TV. And when you're done with that and you have that fix to get out in the outdoors, jump on therealshot.com and get everything you need to satisfy your fix. Yeah,
yeah,
he's a lot of fun. So, you did. So you have that was in a tournament. That was in NWT. Were you a co in that?
no, we pre fished together.
Oh, just put together.
Yeah, I
That's
used
cool.
to have like days off during the week, and he got a hold of me, told me about it. I'm like, heck yeah, I'll go. I'll go with you. But man, that ranger took a beating that day.
That's funny. So, do you do any tournament fishing at all?
No, I really don't. Yeah, I don't even. I think about it sometimes, but it's just not my thing. I guess it looks fun, but like I get into stuff too much, and I know everybody does. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
but I just want to. I never want to be in a position where I'm done at a tournament and like you know be so down on myself. I guess like
I,
I want fishing to always be fun. I don't know. I mean, I know tournaments are fun. I just take it too serious. That's never even get into it.
so you don't do the fall brawl or none of that stuff?
Oh, I do that. Yeah, yeah. I didn't do it last year because I deer hunted real hard. But yeah, the fall brawl is like a no brainer. $30. You get more than a month. Catch the biggest fish. They used to do a summer one too, the summer slam, and I always look forward to that one. I took 13th place. I think it was 2 years ago or something.
Nice.
But no, the fall brawl, yeah, you got to do it if you're going to be up there in November or something. That's the time to enter into
I,
that.
that's been on my list for the last couple of years to drag my ass over there and do that. I keep wanting to do. I'm like, just get in the truck and go, man. Just get in the truck and go. But then you
Oh
get, like
yeah,
you said, you get into deer hunting and may have a successful. Because we start, we're right in the thick of it in Wisconsin, right as November starts. It's like, I
oh
always
yeah,
thought to myself, just get a deer and go out there. But I'm like, maybe I should just go out there first, come back, and then hunt hard when I get back.
yeah. No, it makes it tough because November, like the first week of November here, is prime rut time, and then all of November. No, it does make it tough. I always get in my head. I'm like, I got October to like January to hunt and maybe
Right.
ice fish, and then I got the rest of the year to the fish.
For
So
sure. Yeah, that's one of my. There's a few things that I want to get done in the next couple of years, and that's definitely one of them. It just I don't know. It looks like a lot of fun. They seem to catch big fish that time of year. So
oh yeah,
um,
that's when they're all full of eggs. And then they'll have eggs all through the. If you go, you want to go later in the tournament, because when the tournament starts, then fish won't have as many eggs in them. I mean, and then by the end of it, it seems like they're like already full. That's when you're catching the big ones. But they'll hold them eggs until now. So
right. So what's like fishing on Erie like? So you normally doing trolling? Are you jigging or when? I mean, you said you're jigging now, but through the most of the year, is it basically trolling?
yeah, like majority of the fishing is trolling. Live scopes changing that too, or forward facing sonar. But no, like the jig bite. So what happens on Erie is there's 70 to 90 million walleye. Whatever. It could be 100 million walleye in Lake Erie, and they will say 80% of them will come to the Western Basin to spawn. So, and they all push in. There's reefs in the Western Basin, big reefs, and pretty much some of them will go up the Maumee River, some of them will go up the Detroit River, some of them will come from St. Clair and come down the Detroit River, and they'll spawn all over. But majority of them are said to spawn on the reef. So the reefs just get stacked full, and all the shallow water around the reef gets stacked full of just male walleyes. And what happens is they're waiting for the females to come up and drop their eggs. They say like when them female come up, the males even will start beating up on them to release their egg.
Oh, yeah.
Usually, like the females aren't even biting, like when they're doing that whole process.
Right.
So like when you're jig fishing, it's a great time to catch males. But the thing is too, like you're catching 22 to 24-inch males. I mean,
Jesus.
yeah, like I mean, we have 18 inchers and 15 inchers, but yeah, you'll get males in, and you're like, oh, this is a female, but yeah, it's not. It's just a big male.
Wow.
And you're just hopping that jig around, and I think they're just all fired up. And when they see that jig, they just pin it to the bottom. I mean, it's always a good hit. They're pinning it to the bottom, getting it out of the area, and you can go out and catch a lot of fish really quick. Now, to target the females, like this time of year, you're either going to get them you got to intercept them coming to the reefs or leaving the, so you go out in the deeper water, females will be held up and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the jig bite. And then the rest of the year, I'll mess around and cast around islands and do stuff like that. But it's usually just trolling. We get a weird thing. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but we cast worm harnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So we will cut down worm harnesses and we'll make them like 2 foot long, 1.5 foot long. And then you put a 3/4 ounce just egg sinker in the front of it. And like you'll get on them head boats and you'll actually just cast them out. And you might do like a 10-second drop, and that's supposed to be 10 foot, and you just slow reel that in and you'll catch walleyes doing that all through the summer. Like the jig bite will end in May, and then it'll go into that like worm harness casting bite. But no, yeah, trolling's the big thing that I'm doing.
So is there any other species that you're catching? Like over here where if I put a worm harness on, I'm probably going to catch in an hour, probably 15 sheephead to 2 walleyes. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, like I don't know sheephead movements, but like when it gets to be like 55 degrees on Erie or pushing 60 degrees the water temp, that's when like the worm harness bite starts, and we'll troll worm harnesses. And it seems like that colder water, that like there's like a great time where you won't catch many junk fish, like the sheephead aren't around. But then once you start getting above 60 and that 65 and you're pulling worm harnesses, I think you'll catch more sheephead than anything. Yeah, you'll catch 5 sheephead to 1 walleye. But it's funny too, like that. Like I've talked about it before, like the sheephead, you catch giant. Every sheephead's just giant out there. And when we were first coming up there, I never even thought about that being a bad thing. I always appreciated being out on that lake. Mm-hmm. So we go out, we catch sheephead. I didn't care, because I get asked a lot about new people that want to go. And they're like, well, what do I need to do? How do I not catch, do all this? And sometimes I take it for granted. I'm like, well, you might have to go more east this time of year, But like in the Western Basin, you can always catch walleye like all year. But that's what you run into, just catching so many more junk fish.
I gotcha.
But there was a time where like that, you could go out in July, August, fish the Western Basin. You might catch 5 sheephead and 1 walleye, but you're always going to be like catching walleye, Nowadays, I don't want to catch some sheephead. You get you frustrated and everything. But back then, when you're first getting into it, it just didn't even matter. You're catching giant. I mean, just huge sheephead.
It's kind of a proof of concept too when you first start trolling, to understand your stuff's actually working. What you're doing is right. It's not getting fouled up. You're catching stuff, and it's a way to kind of pass the time too sometimes.
Yeah, that sheephead, they test the gear a lot more than a walleye. I mean, they pull drag and everything else.
Nothing better than having a board underwater, I suppose.
Yeah,
you guys have a lot of big fish you catch. We know over here, unless we're on Green Bay, Winnebago, most of the other places, a big fish is 24, 25 for us.
Yeah,
which to you, that's probably just an average fish.
Yeah, that's funny too. I got a different like view of that because Erie, it is like guys catch 30 inchers, 10-pounders all the time, and you kind of lose, you don't appreciate like a 25 incher anymore. Well, I still do. Like
That's good.
when I see somebody catch a 25 incher, that's awesome. Because I know how big a fish that is just from following other people at other places. Because like I can watch somebody and they pull in a 25 incher, and it's like the biggest fish of their life. So I've learned to appreciate that a lot more. Like, because there is a time where like you aren't catching 26, 27s. You'll go days and then you might catch a 26 incher, and you really appreciate that. But yeah, there's definitely like something where on Erie, if it's not 30 inches, then it's not worth talking about. And I don't believe in that.
Right. I kind of equate that to I grew up fishing QDM or hunting QDM, so it had to be a certain size deer, right? And for so long, I got numb to just horns, and then I left that hunting area, went to a different area where we could shoot whatever we wanted, and like my love of hunting came back, and
Oh yeah.
Seeing a spike or seeing a little six or something gets you fired up. In the past, I wouldn't even pull binoculars up. I'd be like, whatever, man. I kind of feel like that. Some people get that over on ear, like, oh yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. But yeah, those other them 24, 25-inch fish are to us in Winnebago, and even on Green Bay to some extent, people get like later in the fall. I was at a tournament last year, and we had a card full of 25s, and we didn't even finish in the top 30. But I was stoked. I'm like, oh my god, look at all these fish, and they're doing nothing for us. But we had a great day catching them. But that's kind of how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, no, I like Becca. We were out Sunday last Sunday, and Becca doesn't get to go out. My wife, she doesn't get to go out as often, and her biggest fish was like 26 inches, and we reeled in a 27 incher, and it was over 8 pounds. Now I had guys commenting like, I'm surprised that's the biggest fish you guys have caught. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, one thing too is like the fishery, believe it or not, used to be what I hear a lot better than what it is now. Like there's a lot of older guys that you would go out and you'd catch 30 inchers, like we catch 26 and 27 inches. And now, like you can follow like the fall brawl, and there's thousands of people that fish that fall brawl tournament, and you could see where only like 20 fish over 10 pounds were weighed in,
Yeah.
or over 30 inches. Like it's changed a lot. It's going to get better because there were some great hatches, and we got a lot of big fish in the system, and they're eventually going to be 30 inches,
Right.
It's going to get better, but Erie definitely went through a time where they weren't having good hatches.
What are all them fish feed on?
Oh, gizzard shad is huge.
Okay.
Yeah, gizzard shad. I mean, and then we get like world record gizzard shads too. But no, that's I think their biggest thing. I think there's like out east they'll feed on some other stuff. But yeah, gizzard shad is and I'm sure they're feeding on perch. There's a ton of perch, but
I suppose those the big fish eat a lot of food. That always makes me wonder. Like, there's so many fish out there that is there a possibility that could just pop the system by just outfeed themselves?
Oh yeah, no, gizzard shads are like that thing, like almost one of them secret ingredients for Erie because there's so many of them. And then like all our lakes too, my local lakes are just full of gizzard shad.
Wow.
For crappies and everything, that's like their number one forage.
All of them oils and all that fun stuff. So a couple things I wanted to ask you about. So also another event that you go to that is on my list is the walleye drop.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So tell me about Port Clinton's walleye drop.
Yeah, no, actually, not this past year, but the year before was the first time we went. But yeah, they if you drive into Port Clinton, it's on a trailer. There's like I forget how big it is, like over 20 foot something walleye, and it's this big like fiberglass, walleye that's on a trailer. And what they do for the walleye drop is they get a crane in, and they do it in downtown Port Clinton. They get a crane and they attach it to that walleye, and they raise that thing up with a crane, and then they got vendors and everything. It's a really good time, and they'll have a band there, and that New Year's at the midnight they actually count down and drop that walleye just like they would the ball. Yeah,
That's so cool. I saw that actually quite a while ago, a few years ago, in I think a fishing magazine. I'm like, God, that is so freaking cool.
Yeah, it is. They definitely like that whole walleye capital of the world thing. Is they try to keep up with all that.
That is cool. And other thing too, I've noticed is I want to get into your favorite fish sandwiches.
Oh gosh, it's funny, the fish sandwich thing. I really enjoy the social media stuff. I enjoy like creating content.
Yep.
I'm not out here trying to be anybody. I'm addicted to just like filming stuff, capturing stuff, editing it. And I don't know why TikTok is like I don't want to say lazy, but it's easier than YouTube
Yep.
than having like full length cinematic videos.
Right.
TikTok's like good, easy. I can make videos, and I really enjoy doing that. And the thing about TikTok is that they want you to post consistently. And I told myself, I'm like, I want to post every day.
Yep.
I've done 5 days a week, and I'm like, you know what? I need to figure out a way to post every day. So I was doing 5 days a week. That was a year or two ago. And I'm like, okay, what's something I can do that is like guaranteed a post, every week?
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I mean, me and my wife, we eat a lot of fish. Probably more than the average person. I'm probably always on the edge of the mercury, poisoning. I'm always like testing the limits. But no, I'm like, man, no one's doing fish sandwich reviews, and that goes so well with my niche of
Right.
fishing and stuff. So, and I could do that. I can go out and do like Dave Portnoy, the pizza guy.
Yep.
He goes out and does like 12 pizza reviews in the same day.
Yep.
Just he doesn't eat the whole pizza. But no, I'm like, man, I can go out and do 2 or 3 fish sandwich reviews, and I'll be good. I covered that post for the day. Well, I wasn't expecting them to blow up or do so well that they're the ones at 130,000 people watching me eat a fish sandwich. I'm like, maybe I should just stop fishing content, just do fish sandwich stuff.
Right.
But no, yeah, that's where that all came about and everything.
So what's the best one you had so far?
Oh, I mean, I might be a little biased, but Fort Clinton has a restaurant called Jolly Rogers.
Okay.
I just released that one, the walleye sandwich, last weekend. But Jolly Rogers is walleye and perch, and it's actual walleye and perch. And you go in there, and you take your order. It's like fast food, but they have all these people behind the glass making the fish, and they actually have like this conveyor belt system. So you got some guy that's like dropping all the fish in this conveyor, and the fish, you could see them. I mean, they're already cleaned and everything, and they're going on this conveyor belt, and they drop down into this aerated like breading system, and they actually get breaded, and then they come back out, and then they fry them and everything, and you're just sitting there watching them. But yeah, they have all that. All their fresh seafood is like or it's not from Lake Erie, but it's all walleye and perch. And they got a walleye sandwich, and it is really good.
So what's your best have you tried to recreate any of them at home?
Oh no, but I do like messing around with different breadings. There's like a time where someone tells you have a good fish fry, and you use that same breading like for the rest of your life.
Right.
You're like, oh, I use Andy's Red and Drake's, and I mix it together. That was Dad's like always the breading, and that's what I was doing. But no, I definitely have gotten into trying different breadings. I tell you, Kissimmee Special. They the guys down in Florida, they do a bunch of bluegill fishing.
Yep. Yeah.
They have their own breading, and it's called ditch pickle dust. So like they're always like dogging on largemouth and stuff, and so they named their breading ditch pickle dust. But I got some of that breading, and I tell you what, that's some good breading.
Uh-huh.
I think they got it on Amazon even.
You know, my favorite, I stick with, my dad, some of my favorite fish fries. We used to go to Minnesota every year ice fishing. So it was always, we get done fish for the day, the perch would go, we clean them and we'd eat them within a couple hours to catch them. And they always
Oh
use
yeah.
just standard golden dip. And I'm like, oh, it just, that kind of, it's like,
What is it called?
it's called golden dip.
Oh, okay.
It's kind
Yeah,
of,
I've
it's
never
more,
had. Yeah, I'll have
it's,
to get that.
it's a commercial, like a commercial version of like dip, but it's weird. It's just the original formula. They make a fish formula that I don't think it tastes right as the original. It can be used for chicken or whatever, and it's just a plain dip, and it's really good.
But it's like a wet batter, though, right?
No, it's a dry batter.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
All right.
So
Yeah.
what's your perfect fish sandwich? What's on it?
Oh gosh. I don't. I tell you. So, like on Erie, we were talking about the big fish you catch,
Yep.
and I tell you, you catch like a 26-inch walleye, and I told myself I'm not keeping any over 25 inches anymore. I'm throwing them back. I like conservation, and I can do
Yep.
better. But my wife is always like, she's the one that's like, no, we're taking that home, we're eating it. But I'm getting to them big fillets do not work for fish sandwiches.
No.
It kind of I chunk mine up, I'll make them into pieces like this.
Right.
Yeah. And, but so you got to catch the right fish. So something that's like 18 inches or,
Yep.
16 to like 18 inches, something that you can have the whole fillet.
Yep.
And I got to tell you a story. Actually, that reminds me of something, but, yeah, you got to get the right fillet that you could just eat the whole fillet and no problems. And then I don't know. I'm just I actually like it simple. I don't mind American cheese, but I am like just the fish and then some tartar sauce. Sometimes I think I crave the tartar sauce more than the fish. But yeah, just a plain Jane tartar sauce fish sandwich. That's where it's at. But I want to get into I went to Lake Ogeebic in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan,
Okay.
and they had I've never seen, but they had a limit where I struggled. Like it was a trip me and the wife went on, and I struggled to catch walleye. And you're allowed to keep like two like 13 to 14-inch fish. And we were there for a while, and I got desperate, and I kept a 13 and a 14-inch walleye. I filleted them up and made sandwiches at camp, and might have been the best fish sandwich I've ever had. Them little walleyes were good.
Right.
I don't encourage people keeping the little walleyes, but yeah.
So it's funny because like my perfect sandwich would. So we have a thing called walleye sandwiches, but we at home here. So if I get something that's like 16, 17, 18, I'll cut the tail, right? And I
Yeah.
leave the front half and I dice the front half off, put them on, bread, whatever kind of bread you want to use, toast them, make my own tartar sauce. I love my own tartar
Oh
sauce.
yeah.
Fabulous. But then I take the rest of that walleye I don't use and I make little walleye bites that go with the walleye sandwich. So you get the little taster with it too. So you get, yeah, there's nothing like a good walleye sandwich,
Yeah, I do like soaking my fish in like Frank's Red Hot like before I bread it, and I'll leave them in a bag for a little bit. It's
Right.
not like you got to do it for hours.
Right.
But you coat them in that, and then you bread them. I like that too a lot. Just
A little bit of
just
spice
a little
then.
heat. Yeah. If I'm not doing that, I make my own tartar sauce too, and I'll put a little Frank's in that.
Yeah, tartar sauce get me. What's the worst sandwich you've had? I'm guessing it's probably a fast food version. What's the worst one?
Oh, I'm kind of like just getting into it. I think I've done like eight of them, and Wendy's kind of surprised me. There's like a cult following with the Wendy's. I think it's like the panko breaded fish sandwich. Like people like rave over it. And I reviewed that one, and it threw me off because I don't try them before. That was the
That's
first
your
time
first
I've had
go?
that one, and I took it all, and I was checking it out, and I had pickles, and I noticed like a bunch of dill in the tartar sauce, like I could see it.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was where I got it or what, like the restaurant, because I'm not saying all Wendy's are like this, but the fish looked. It was the first day they had it too, but the fish didn't look good, and I bit into that thing, and that dill. I like dill, There was so much dill. That one was not good. But if you want to see if if you like it or if you get a bad one, Wendy's is the one where I don't know about.
Yeah, it's funny because so many places do them, and when I noticed you doing that, I didn't make any videos, but I started trying ones of my own. Like,
Yeah.
one of the chicken places has one up here, and I'm like, oh, that's not bad at all. I would have thought a chicken place would have it. I can't remember which place. It wasn't Chick-fil-A, it was the other one. Popeyes had one, and
Popeyes.
I'm like, that's not a bad sandwich.
Yeah, I got to do Popeyes. There's like a cult following behind that. People love the Popeyes one.
Right?
I tell you, Culver's was a surprise because I went to Culver's. Everyone's like, get to Culver's. I'm like, I
Yep.
didn't even, I don't know, whatever. And what? There's Long John's. Oh, Captain D's. They
Okay.
have like a fish meal, and I like their fish meal. They're 3-piece.
Yep.
Well, we went to Culver's and got that cod, like a 3-piece cod meal and
Yep.
the sandwich. I tell you what, their fish I thought was better than Captain D's. Culver's isn't messing around with their fish. It's good.
Right. Yeah, they do it. They do pretty good over there. Yeah, I don't. And there's another place up here that has a perch. It's called the Perch Witch. Um, it's it's a little local spot that do like they have like 6 or 7 locations up here, and they have a Perch Witch that's pretty good. And what makes theirs really good is they use the lettuce is always fabulous. Like a lot of times the lettuce is kind of shitty on some of them, but it's like a good iceberg crispy lettuce. I can't remember the name of it.
You gotta have it.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
funny. I was just talking in the review, and the one time the lettuce was, I could say it's like, oh, the lettuce is dead because it's like just it's all wilted, and so I'm
Yep.
like, oh, it's like, and someone made a comment. They're like, the lettuce is dead? Question mark. I don't respond to them guys. I just laugh, but it cracks me up because I try to be authentic. But yeah, you gotta have crispy lettuce
Yeah.
if you're gonna put crispy or lettuce on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that your favorite way to eat fish? Is a sandwich, or are you just like old
Yeah.
school fry them up?
Oh, I mean, like I said, we eat a ton of fish. Yeah, I love a fish sandwich. I don't know what it is. One day I told myself, I'm like, you can eat chicken all the time and you eat your beef all the time. And like fish is always like this thing, like a sacred meal or something. I'm
Right?
like, what? I can eat fish all the time. So, like I tell you one thing we do, is like we do like walleye tacos
I saw that.
but like we don't deep fry our walleye. We put
That's
it in a pan and we put some olive oil in the pan and we just put all them chunks in it and I'll cover it in blackened seasoning and lemon pepper seasoning and then we'll just cook it until it turns white and then we'll actually like take a spatula and chop that up and make it into like a ground like meat but it's
I
ground
gotcha.
fish and then we'll like make like a cilantro lime rice and we'll put that in tacos or like just have a bowl put a little fresh coleslaw on top of it with a little salsa. That's probably my favorite way to eat. And like there'll be times where we'll eat that like every Friday, or
Right.
Saturday or something. We eat it once a week.
I was going to ask you about that. I saw that on there. I'm like, wonder how he's doing that because normally when I'll do for doing fish tacos, I'll cut them in strips. So they're
Okay.
more of a strip, and then I'll fry them that way, and then have them so you can lay the whole strip down, then you can put on top of there. But yeah, fish tacos is a favorite. Have you tried putting anything on the grill? We tried putting walleyes on the grill yet?
Not like directly on the grill. I've tried a lemon, it's like a buttered lemon walleye recipe where you put it in like aluminum foil
Oh, yep.
pan, ton of butter, and then like so a ton of butter. You season them with whatever you want, and then throw some lemon juice with lemon in there, and then I put it in my pellet grill, and you kind of give it a smoky,
Oh, I gotcha.
but nothing like on a cedar plank or anything like
Yeah,
that on the
I
grill.
I did one last year straight on the grill top, and you had to oil the piss out of the grill, but it worked. I mean, it worked. It tastes really good. It had
Oh
no
yeah,
breading on it, nothing like that, just straight up, and it was pretty good. It was kind of hard to get it on and off there, and flip it over was kind of a pain. I need like the spatula that's the grabber kind of spatula, but it was pretty fabulous.
yeah. No, that'd be something to try. Have you ever seen like them restaurants? They'll have like whole walleye. Yeah, like, so but no, I don't want to try that, but there's definitely a lot of ways to,
Right?
yeah, put that on the grill or something. That's something to mess around with.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of ways, and especially. So, what's the limit over there on Erie?
It's 6 fish per person, and and it's got to be over 15 inches.
You're bringing a lot of meat home when you go out,
Oh gosh, yeah. Like, I mean, we got a lot of fish to eat, you know.
right?
Um, I don't want to sound, but like the one year we kept 400 walleye between me and my dad, and I told him like I'm not keeping a walleye until I eat all this fish.
Right.
But we ate it all. You know, it's gone. We ate it all. You know, just like that. That's when like every week we were eating fish tacos. You
Right.
know? Yeah, yeah. But like they've it used to be more regulated. In the springtime, you used to only be able to catch 4. There was a time where you could only have 2 rods.
Mm.
Now you're allowed 3 per person. And what's going on is that you know they say like, okay, you know, we're gonna say 15 million walleye can get caught this year,
Mm.
and every year the the last time I looked at it, but like every year we're so under that, even with like commercial fishing, that like we're hitting like 9 million, you know, or you know
Wow.
we're way under that 15 million getting caught. So, and I think that's why they just keep letting yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know if they would do it like a 7 or 8 per person, you know.
Wow. That's a
But
lot.
right now 6, yeah.
6 is a lot, especially knowing the size. I mean, one thing if it was 6, like, you know, 16, 17, 18 inches, but when you're
It-
talking 6, 20 something inches, that's a lot of extra meat.
yeah, oh yeah. Nope. Yeah, it adds up quick. Yeah, I got a whole separate freezer just for that. Deer meat and fish. Yeah. But you know, and that's how like I view fishing anymore is that. It's like the whole like even with you know, with hunting putting meat in the freezer. Well, like now, like fishing has become that where like not that we're dependent on it, but that
Right.
is like one of the main things that me and my wife eat. You know, so it
Yeah.
feels good like having that opportunity to fill it up
Right.
and eat that throughout the year.
Yeah, it is pretty special. Like, just when you pack your deer away for the year, right? You have that feeling like, hey, I
Oh
got this
yeah,
pack. We're gonna make it to at least this day, and then you go in and you pack your fish in there too after spring or whatever, and you're like, okay, yeah, I don't need to catch anything for the next couple of weeks.
yeah.
Um, how do you pack your fish for long term saving? So
I vacuum pack it.
vacuum everything.
Yeah, yep. Which I want to get a new one, but I got a Cabela's one where it just folds and it sucks all the moisture to like the seal.
Yep.
But like I got to seal it like 4 times to get it to seal because it's wet in there.
Yep.
I was putting a paper towel in there, like so you'd have the fish,
Oh,
and then I'd put a paper towel, and then the seal would be here. So then when you suck the air out, it would go to that paper towel.
pretty sweet.
But and that works all right. I mean, and it keeps it sealed up and everything, or you could seal it easier. But then I found too that if you just seal it 4 times, it will seal up. It'll get hot enough and melt it.
I have the same thing. Do you do it? Do you put anything in with them, or just do them
Just
how it
just
goes?
the fish. There was a time, you know, dad and stuff, we just have big old bags of fish like in water. You know, you get a gallon bag and there'd be like it'd be multiple gallon bags, but you catch 12 walleye. You know, you're stuffing as many as you can in there. And there's never
Right.
like a time where you're like, I'm just gonna thaw out some fish and make
Right.
fish tacos. You had enough fish, you know, to feed like you'd have a whole fish fry for
Right.
multiple families. So yeah, now I put like 12 to 16 chunks in them bags
Huh?
and then we're good to go.
That's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering because you guys obviously have to pack away more than what we pack away at a time being. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, it takes some time to do. Yeah, but it's all part of it. I guess I take that for granted too, because like that, like fish fries used to be a treat. Like around here, fishing these lakes, like my local lakes, you caught some fish. Like if I went out and caught 6 crappies or something, more than likely I was going home and eating them crappies like that day. You know? Yeah, but now, you just, I don't know, you take it for granted, freezer full of fish
Right.
and eat them up.
So is there any days you go where you don't keep fish?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's taken time to learn that too. Because like now, you can keeping males is whatever. Keeping fish over 25 inches, those are all your big spawning
Yep.
females. And then cold water. This time of year, fish are more lively. I think they just release easier.
Yep.
There's a time when the water warms up and fish move east. East is deeper water. So like we'll be fishing like 40, 50, 60, 70 foot of water. And you're going to catch them fish on them hot days, deep water, bring them up. And those are the days like I think you should be keeping
Mm.
like the fish, like almost make yourself keep them, put them on ice. Cause I don't think you release them fish. I don't think they live. Like this time of year, they're all full. They've been eating good.
Right.
Water's cold. I mean, even in the live well, this time of year, they're in the live well. I can catch fish, put them in my live well, drive 2 hours home, and clean them, and they'll still
Yep.
be alive.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
them
In the
deeper,
springtime,
hotter water. What's
yeah.
that?
In the springtime, it's a hell of a time getting them out of the live well.
Yeah, right. But that hot water and stuff, they die right
Yeah.
away. So like I try to focus more on that being the time of year that we're keeping more fish.
I got
I'll still try to like release them bigger fish, but I try to keep up on that. Like they talk about like 70 to 80% of fish that are released like don't make it, especially like that time of year.
Yep.
So I I want to be able to like when someone new there or someone that doesn't get to go out much, we're keeping fish. They want to keep fish. Heck yeah, we'll keep whatever
Yep.
you want to keep. You want to
Yep.
keep that 27 incher, okay. But like when I'm out there, or me and dad are out there, and it's hard to convince dad. Dad,
Older
old school,
generation.
like, yeah.
Yep.
But no, just try to like this time of year catching big females. Like I just let them go.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy because it's funny just the air of the country. I mean, you're over there. There's a lot of fish that need to be caught every year to keep the numbers down. But then as you go west, Wisconsin, and we're kind of bouncing back from some bad decisions a decade ago. Minnesota's in it right now with some stuff that they didn't fix, and they got some lakes that are just down to not keeping anything, right? And so they're
Yeah,
training themselves to release more and just catch what you're going to eat like right away, kind of thing. And you
yeah.
guys are getting pushed to go take more, take more, take
Oh
more,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. No, we're not catching enough. But like, there's no commercial like walleye fishing on Erie. There's
Mm,
commercial perch fishing, but I don't know. Canada might be able to commercial fish for walleye, but they talk about that. We're not even meeting the commercial fishing
right.
uh, numbers. That 15 million I was talking about, that's commercial
Yep.
and you know regular fishermen. Joe Blow's out there.
Right. That's awesome. So, when did you decide to make? What made you want to make content?
So I talked about YouTube.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. There was a time I just loved watching fishing YouTube videos, and the guy that I always watched was Aaron Weeb, and he does uncut angling.
Yep.
And Jay Siemens was his cameraman.
Yep.
But man, them guys got me into like walleye fishing because like the lake I live the closest to, there's no walleye in it, and then Indian Lake is a Saugeye lake, and we never went to Indian Lake. Grand Lake St. Mary's is the lake I'm closer to. But watching them guys, they always were walleye fishing, smallmouth fishing, muskie fishing, just real multi-species anglers. I thought that was cool. I went more that direction than I did like the largemouth bass fishing,
Right. Yep.
and that like got me into the deep V boat and everything. And I started going to Indian Lake and chasing after Saugeye, which I absolutely love. I love that kind of fishing almost more than the Erie trolling because it's more like classic walleye fishing, I call it,
Right.
throwing a jig around,
Yep.
jigging minnow, jigging leech, slip bobber fishing. And but no, like watching them guys, and then I did watch like all the bass fishing guys growing up and everything. But no, that's what like really got me into content, and even at like I was still in like, gosh, high school. I started like a YouTube channel that's like long gone now, but it was JC Jigs Fishing, and all I did was like crappie fished on there, tied my own baits and stuff.
Nice.
And then TikTok came around. I dabbled in YouTube more, and then TikTok came around, and I started doing it. I'm like, it was just like I said, not cinematic.
Yep.
I didn't need a cameraman. I mean, you don't need that for YouTube either. But I do everything on my phone, and I edit all my content on my phone. It's just so easy. Like when I was doing YouTube before, I'd have to upload it on my computer or on the laptop. We never had a good laptop, so I'd make a video and I might have filmed for like 2 hours. Well, it would take me like 4 hours to get that on that computer.
Right.
And then I
uploaded.
started realizing editing, and I'm like, I got to go through this 2 hours of content and find all the fish catches I had. You know, I'm like, God, you know, all of a sudden you're like, man, this is going to take me like 8 hours. Right. But now it's just like, it's so I can get it on my, I can film. I use Power Direct editing on my phone, upload it to that, do all my editing, and then I got it where I could post it on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and all that. But no, I just really enjoy it. My wife, she's the one, she always said, like, I've always been, you know, had like a creative thing, you know, going on where I enjoyed that kind of stuff. And it just led into the video and making content, coming up with things to do. And yeah, it helps. It helps build my confidence too. Just, I mean, everything. It's been good for me. And, you know, I'm addicted to it now.
Right. So yeah, I mean, have you had any ones that like any negative stuff that's kind of got you down, or are you kind of able to stay out of that world?
It's there. It used to bother me a lot, but like the older you get, it's crazy how you could just turn that stuff off.
Right.
I've watched a lot of people that are content, and they talk about content creators, and they talk about that stuff, and it just comes down to the whole thing, like, just, I'm gonna do me, and it doesn't matter, and you can do you. There's definitely, like, I get into days where I'm like, man, I really don't want to post this video because it might not be up to the level as some of my other content. Like just talking about something, whatever, for the day, just so then I have a video. But all you got to do is just, you know, you post that, and a lot of times they do better than what you think.
For sure.
And then it's just for the day. And so then the next day, you know, you can come out with something better, and it just doesn't matter. I mean, there's definitely a time I cared, and I would think about that, like, dang, I don't want to post that one, and I'd have it in my drafts. But no, once you stop, it's like that whole thing. What is it? You'll never find a hater doing better than you. You know, there's all kinds of things. You know, but yeah, that whole I'm just gonna do me. I enjoy it. It took me a while too, like that whole, what are you trying to do? Be somebody? You know, like that's the whole thing too. It's like, my wife's helped me where it's like, no, I just like really enjoy making the content. Right. That's all.
Hey listeners, let's talk outdoor streaming. What is the best outdoor streaming platform out there? Well, it's simple. It's Fix TV. Not only do they have this great program, but they have all kinds of hunting and fishing shows along with some weaponry shows. So when you get bored and need something to do, get your fix with Fix TV. And when you're done with that and you have that fix to get out in the outdoors, jump on therealshot.com and get everything you need to satisfy your fix.
Oh, it is. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I went through a stretch where I posted every day. Now I do self-imposed weeks off where I just don't. I mean, I'll still film stuff. I just don't put it out.
Yeah.
Because I went through. I think the most I went is almost a year posting every day, and like at some point you get like that frustration of like, oh, I gotta post something. It's almost a stress on you, kind of sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to feel this, so I'll just take a week off, and I'll be itching by the end of it, and I'll just start dropping videos left and right.
Yeah,
just doing multiple ones a day, and do 2-3 a day just to get stuff out. But yeah, the haters are interesting because I've always liked the comments, and I'm kind of a person that doesn't mind playing in the comments and getting in there and chopping it up. But I did have one last year that got a little out of hand on me, and and I had to take a break after that because it wasn't. I don't mind most people because you're kind of anonymous in a way, right? I mean, people know you are around you,
Yeah.
but at some point that stops. And I had one where some people I knew started doing, dropping some pretty nasty stuff. Like, dude, I know you. Why,
Yeah.
and you're like a little close to home there for me. And I wasn't like,
Yeah.
normally I'm kind of like set back from it, and maybe people know who I am, and I'm out and about with the podcast stuff like that. But sometimes it's like, oh, that was a little much for even me. I need to
Oh yeah.
I think I took a month off. I had a video that did, I don't know, like 7 million views last year on all platforms,
Oh
and I got a lot of hate on it from a few people, and I'm just like, oh man, they're local dudes, guys that I know, and I'm like, it just kind of hit too deep for me that time. So I'm like, I'm gonna take a break here and see how everything goes.
yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Walleye fishermen, for some reason, are brutal.
Right,
There's
for sure.
there's some old heads out there.
Hmm.
And that's something I tell people too. Like, there are guys, and I've learned this from making content and people commenting on my stuff. There are guys so set in their ways. Uh, It's like the only way you're gonna learn and do better is just have an open mind.
Yep.
If someone tells you something, it could be so out of left field, and you can be like, "What the heck?" But you know what? They're going out and they caught fish doing
Yep.
that,
Hmm.
or they wouldn't be talking about it.
Right, for
So you
sure.
just need to figure out, process, like, well, why did that work for him?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, there's some guys out there, and I don't mean, but a lot of them are old heads where they're
Yeah.
like I said about the boards, like, you don't release your boards. It's like, nope, I don't. Why don't you? I don't know. I just never. I've tried it, and it's just, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Maybe next year I might be releasing them.
Yeah.
Like, the way baits are running, the depth of your baits. There are guys that just are so hard nosed about it that they almost like get Haiti about it. They're like,
Yeah.
you do
Right.
not know what you were talking about. I'm like, okay, I'm here to have fun. I'm here for a good
Right.
time, like,
Right. And that's funny too because of how techniques have changed so much, and people just don't see that. Like, forward facing sonar, I never would have guessed a million years, 10, 20 years ago, that walleyes would react the way they do. And we're catching them on the stuff we're catching them on. And it's like, I never even would have thought of that. And it wasn't, it's not the old guys that are coming with this. It's the new kids that are coming up going,
yeah,
figuring stuff out, taking stuff. I watch more bass fishing now just to see their lures because I'm like, I wonder if that worked for me.
yeah,
Can I
right,
throw that crankbait? Is that going to go deep enough for what I want it to do? Right. So
yeah,
it's a lot of these different things. Like, Facebook's a wonderful place. I don't know. It's like every fisherman in the world has a Facebook account because it basically turned into the, what's the old one that used to have back in the day? Not LinkedIn, but there was a Lake Link, right? And I don't know if you remember Lake Link when it was around.
uh-uh.
So Lake Link was kind of like, it was basically just a big message board, and they would have on each board would be under each state would have all the lakes listed, and you can go into that lake and make a comment, right?
Oh,
And
okay,
put your catches, put pictures and stuff, and that thing took off for a while. But then they let you be anonymous on there, which was not a great thing for
uh,
for anybody, right? So that kind of died off. It's still around actually, but then I see so many groups on Facebook, and every lake has a Facebook group, right? And you get into like over here, it's like Lake Winnebago Junkies and all these different places. And I feel it's so funny because like a lot of these old guys are getting back into social media just to be on Facebook, just to be in those pages. And it's
yeah,
pretty interesting. You see like some 70-year-old guy that's posting a picture and stuff on, whatever Marshfield Lake. Just
yeah.
I think it's kind of fun that way.
No, the whole Indian, or the Indian Lake. I mean, Ohio's lakes are full of saugeye. Like, saugeye are big, but yeah, that's a big thing. Saugeye techniques and tactics. Everybody's on there posting that they're catching them on swim baits. Like, but yeah, no, it's all fun. Yeah, there's something about Erie though. Guys have been fishing a long time, and you could go out this time of year with the newest bait. Companies go out with the newest, greatest crankbait, and you're going to catch fish. I mean,
Right.
this time of year, just like I said, they're all in that Western Basin. But yeah, guys get set on their ways, and there's a lot of easy fish to be caught out there. When it gets to be later in the year, that's when it's tough, and you don't hear people talking about it as much.
Right.
You got heading east and stuff like that. But yeah, and then like the forward facing sonar is changing everything too so much. I don't have it. I haven't gotten it yet. And then the biggest reason why I haven't is like trolling Lake Erie. I know guys are catching them on forward facing sonar and they're catching some of the biggest fish. The NWT last year showed up and they caught giants with forward facing sonar and 5-foot waves, all that.
Yeah.
But there's something about like trolling so easy to take other people fishing.
Yep.
I could take the newest guy who's never been on a boat out there and troll. I could take my wife, I could take my brothers, and we could go troll Erie and have a great day. They don't have to get technical. I don't need another screen. So I think that's the thing that's kind of kept me from buying it. Like I plan on getting it this year, kind of saving up for it. But that's like a huge thing for me. Is like I always think I'm like, well, like I'm going to take my dad, and he's not going to use, we're going to still troll. It's just easy for reel this in.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a different with the areas, right? Because I mean, as I look out and see that it's probably more productive for you to have 6 poles in than have 2 poles in, right?
Yeah.
So for us over here, it's like, okay, trolling's not as, the walleyes aren't as abundant. I mean, yeah, there's times you get in them big oil slicks and they're all packed up, and no matter who you are, you're going to be trolling and it's to go good. But a lot of times they scatter out, and if I can go catch 1 or 2 on a pass trolling, I also could go sit on that rock and just catch 4 or 5 just sitting there, right? So I think it kind of depends on where you are in the world. Like you guys, some of these videos I see of your screens and stuff are just hundreds of walleyes below on your thing. I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense. If that's what you're fishing, the best way to fish that is probably trolling, right? Because you're going to put more stuff in front of them. Where
if
for
you're
us,
like targeting big fish, I could see the forward facing sonar, but like just going meat running, then the trolling, I don't, it's even changed. Like I was talking about the jig bite and the reefs, a lot of guys that they drift over them reefs. Like that's been the old school thing forever. You throw some drift socks out, you slow down your drift over the reef, and you jig fish that reef. Well, now it's like, well, why don't I just go out there and turn my spot lock on? Everybody has big boats. Like they don't have spot lock. And it's like, I just go put my spot lock on that reef, and then I can have my forward facing sonar, which you don't even need. But if you want to look for like bigger fish or something. So now, we're even running into, you go out to a reef and there'll be like 3 boats spot locked on it, which is fine. I'm not.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, well, why aren't we doing that? but no, we'll throw our drift socks out and we'll drift across there, and you'll always catch the most fish off that reef.
Yeah.
And then you'll drift by, get your socks back up and drive back up, like that's changing Lake Erie. Like I said, like older guys and stuff, I don't even think they're out there in their big sport crafts. It's not even something in their mind to do,
I gotcha. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on today.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I've been watching your stuff. I like your I really want to talk fish sandwiches with you, Lake Erie, all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah. I watch your stuff. It's been fun, and just kind of seeing somebody else out there doing. It's always nice to watch somebody else do the same basic thing, right? And like I see one of your videos, like when I saw your first fish eat video, I'm like, God damn it! Why didn't I think about that? Why didn't I think about eating fish on TikTok? That's great. Right. That's a great series.
Yeah, the food reviews are crazy. It's funny too. Like everybody I watch is doing it in their car, and I'm like, I'm not doing it in my car. I'm doing it outside. You'll notice all mine are outside. Right? I'm at places and stuff. Yeah.
Well, if you're looking to be on an episode of Walleye Chronicles, hit me up on my socials at Matt Snell or Smiling Fish on TikTok. If you're looking for Joel's stuff, catch his stuff on YouTube and TikTok. And remember, there's 2 things you can do every day to make somebody's life better. 1 is give them a smile, and 2, take them fishing. Thanks a lot.